Okay, so I've heard, I don't know if we were talking to each other or I was interviewing you or you were being interviewed or something, but we had the conversation around those 3 years in waiting.
Okay.
And I know, you know, we kindred spirits, because the same feeling you had where it was like, brother man, if that clock strikes 12 and I don't have a ring on this finger, baby, the Facebook status is going to change, the girl about to do, you know, all of the things. And I feel like that is like, I don't know of a relationship where there was never a time, even if it was just a month or two. There is a time where the woman is feeling like, all right, now the clock is ticking. My expectations are, you know, what's going on here. So for someone who might be dealing with that, and you've successfully worked through, you know, wondering like, when is the right time? So how did you navigate that? And then the other question is, what conversations did you have or questions did you ask that you were comfortable enough to not go crazy?
Okay, well, that's, you know, it's very interesting. Part of me did not go into the relationship with necessarily a desire to be married.
Oh,
I didn't always,
to him or period?
Period. Okay. Like, I didn't necessarily, you know, throughout my 20s, you know, there are women and girls who they're constantly planning their wedding day, right? They're constantly thinking of the dress and the bridesmaids. And yeah, I want to have a wedding because I want a dress. But when I actually thought about the marriage part, I was like, it scared me a bit, you know? It scared me to think about, oh my God, sharing my entire life with someone. But what I always knew was, if I'm going to continue to be in a long-term partnership, I know what I'm worth. And so I will always went into the understanding when you know, my husband and I, he had been married, and I said to him, like, look, if this is something that you don't want, I'm okay. Like, I can move on, and I will be cool with you moving on. I'm cool either way. But I know that I'm not a lifetime girlfriend. I know that I'm not that, though. So
is there another option?
Well, shit, I don't know. People doing what they call it when you live together with someone. Why is the word escaping me?
Common law?
Common law. I mean, people do common law. They do all sorts of things. Some people don't have the desire to be married. So when I was like, okay, well, I'm not necessarily looking for marriage, right? And I remember I had this comment. Oh my God, it was so funny. So we were standing outside of a wedding. We're standing outside of a wedding. My dad says me and Ben weren't married at the time. And my husband was like standing like close to the valet, and then me and my dad were standing on the side. He said, well, what you and Ben doing? What you and Ben doing? And I said, what you mean? He's like, well, I mean, how long y'all gonna keep this up? What's going on? So then I said, well, we fine, you know? And he was like, I said, you know, Dad, I don't even know if I want to get married. I don't even know if I want to get married. I said, because, you know, Ben be on my nerves sometimes. Like, he be on my nerves. He said, well, what you think this shit is? What you think this shit is? You know? And it was like, do you think you gonna like somebody every day? And he was like, you ain't no little girl no more, Carly. You ain't no little girl. What you gonna do? And I was like, he was like, I mean, it's just that time. You gotta think of your life. And he was like, y'all can be better if y'all married. Y'all can be better if y'all got a partnership. Y'all can be it would be better. And so I walked away from that conversation just thinking like, he was like, y'all gonna have to bust a move. You got to bust a move, do something. I mean, you gonna be with him, you not. Yeah. But y'all ain't gonna keep doing this. Like, oh, we sure be together. You know, like, it ain't gonna work, you know? And my family, I come from a very traditional family. You know, very traditional set of values. And like, you're married, you have a family. Like, it is, you know? And so, so after having that conversation, you know, it changed my perspective of how I thought about my relationship and how I looked at our partnership going forward and what our life could look like if we were married. And you know, from that conversation, you know, Ben was always like, I want to marry you. I want to be with you. But I always was like, I think because I came from a divorced home, because it was always that looming thing in the back of my mind, like, well, this shit ain't gonna work. You know, this shit might not work. It just might not work. It may not be perfect, you know? And I was so caught up on this idea of perfection and having a perfect relationship. I wasn't willing to think and expand my mind to see that, that there is, outside of the walls of that perfection, there's some areas of growth, there's some areas of healing, there's some areas of stretching, there's some areas of pressing that this person is called into my life to bring forth, right? And so I wasn't, I had to look at it from a different lens of maturity. And that's really what it was. So initially I wasn't like, oh, I have to be married. But as time started to go on, and after that conversation, it made me think like, well, what could my life be like? Like, I knew that I was worthy, but I was like, why am I not giving myself the opportunity to walk in the fullness of what that is? You know? And so I just had to I said, no matter what, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to take a chance on something.
So you mentioned, coming from a very traditional family, I feel like we don't put enough weight and we don't do enough thinking about like our roots, like where we came from, what we were raised to believe, what we saw, what we witnessed, what we experienced, all of those things, and how that's impacted the decision